Most people will simply throw the battery straight into the trash as soon as it runs completely out of power and immediately replace it with a brand new one. But today, I am going to do the exact opposite. With just a few simple items already available around the house, I will try to bring this seemingly dead battery back to life. Keep watching because the final result could mean you will not have to buy another new battery ever again. First, we check the battery carefully with a multimeter so we know exactly where we are starting. Place the two probes directly on the two battery terminals and carefully watch what appears on the display. The number does not change, showing that the battery has lost its voltage. This gives us a clear starting baseline so we can compare the result accurately later. Next, I take another battery from the tray and measure that one the same way. Surprisingly, this one also shows almost no voltage. Then we test a third battery using the same simple method. This time the screen shows a clear value proving that this battery still has power. Now we install the battery that still has power inside the alarm clock to test it. The battery is smaller than the type normally used. I carefully roll up a small piece of aluminum foil, place it inside the small open gap, and then securely reinstall the battery. Immediately, the clock starts working. Poor electrical contact can sometimes make a device look as though its battery is completely dead. Next, I bring over the two dead batteries so we can clean their metal terminals carefully. Spray WD-40 onto the metal surface, then lightly sand each terminal with sandpaper, focusing on the dull areas. After several passes, the metal looks brighter and residue begins collecting on the paper. Treat the other terminal the same way, keeping the motion even so you do not sand too deeply. Once the surfaces look noticeably cleaner, use a soft cloth to carefully wipe away all dust, oil, and any remaining oxidation. Dirty terminals can increase contact resistance, so cleaning them first helps make the later measurement fairer. The two batteries certainly look better now, but we still cannot honestly call them restored yet. The multimeter must give us the answer. Before that, I want to test another very familiar material that almost every home has. That familiar household item is simply a lemon. I place it on the table, cut it in half, and separate the two halves to expose the wet flesh. Remove the center membrane from both lemon halves. While preparing the next step, tell me what country you are watching from. If you make a habit of checking old things before throwing them away, leave the number 1 in the comments. I want to know where people are watching these tips. Sprinkle a little salt evenly onto both lemon halves. The small grains immediately meet the lemon juice and gradually begin to dissolve. Lemon juice can conduct electricity, while the added salt helps put more ions into the liquid solution. At this point, the two prepared lemon halves are ready for the next test. The battery will stay in contact with them for a while, then return to the multimeter so we can see whether the number changes. Place the battery between the two lemon halves so both terminals touch the wet flesh. Keep the battery steady in that position and leave it there for a period of time. While we wait, the other battery will go through a different experiment. I use an old charging cable, cut off the end to expose the two power wires inside and strip the insulation from both ends. Bring the wire cores to the two battery terminals with the red wire on the positive terminal and the black wire on the negative terminal. Once they are positioned correctly, secure both wire ends with electrical tape so they cannot move. This detail is very important because incorrect or unstable contact can change the result of the experiment. At this point, we have two batteries going through two different tests. One sits between the two lemon halves while the other is in the powered test. What do you think of the batteries we just tested? Does either one still have a chance to work again? Comment yes or no before seeing the result. I want to know whether your prediction matches the final test. When everything is held securely in place, connect the charging cable to power and leave the battery there for a period of time. About 15 minutes later, I carefully remove the battery from between the two lemon halves. The battery is still wet, so use a soft cloth to wipe the entire body and both metal terminals. Once the lemon juice is cleaned off, bring the battery back to the multimeter. Place the same two probes on the two terminals, just as we did at the very beginning of the test. This time the number on the display has changed and the voltage has improved. That is why we measured it before starting. But the number is not the final test. I remove the battery currently being used and install the battery we just restored in the alarm clock, then watch. The alarm clock starts operating steadily again. We have one result, but the second battery still has not been tested. Now we return to the remaining battery. Disconnect the power, unplug the USB, then remove the electrical tape and both wires from the battery. I bring over the multimeter and measure it again with the same two probes. The number on the display has changed, but we still need a real practical test. Install the battery in a wireless mouse, close the cover, and turn on the switch. If you commented yes earlier, see whether your prediction was correct. The wireless mouse starts working normally again. I bring the mouse over to the computer so we can test it under normal real-world use conditions. Great. After installing the battery we just restored, the mouse responds normally and can be used steadily. With only a few simple steps and familiar household items, we helped batteries that seemed dead start working normally again. If you enjoy practical DIY tips like this, leave the number 1 hit, like, and subscribe to the channel. See you next time.